Um, so we like to ask a future-facing question at the end of our episodes, and maybe
Cool.
for you is what's next for Rive, and what do you think is next in this space in general?
So I think next for us is, I mean, we talked a lot about the upcoming features and all that stuff. I think you will start to see people build features for Rive once we have our scripting. Part of the goal with scripting is to empower people to um, build their own features. And the really cool thing about that is that it's not just like a plugin system like other design tools might have, but it also has to work at runtime, right? So if you're building a new feature for our editor, you're also building the runtime functionality for it that can actually ship with our runtime. So it's suddenly a way to, every time we add a feature today, like if we add audio, for example, to our editor and we add it to our runtimes, we're now shipping an audio engine for everyone. And not everyone might need that audio engine. And so if you can just load the audio plugin, and there can be multiple of them, that different people have built, and you can ship only that as part of your, not only in your editor you get custom UI for it, but also at the runtime you get custom functionality. So that's something that I think is pretty cool, and for a dev audience exciting. You can imagine opening up like a marketplace of being able to create these type of scripts and sharing them with the community. um, and then, yeah, I think just the fact that we have some of the features we talked about coming soon means that I'm really excited about seeing just what are the new kind of experiences that people will start building when, suddenly a website can be an empty canvas that um, can do a whole bunch of really unique creative stuff and doesn't have to follow a document object model and can kind of whatever you want. I imagine we're going to start seeing a lot more games and gamified type of experiences, or things that blur the lines even more than what Duolingo is doing, with apps and games. And that's, yeah, that's exciting to think about. Um, Final thing I'll say is that one of the things we're seeing is that I think is really exciting is the ability, like for companies like Duolingo, and I should use another company that should be the same ones, but like to build these graphics across platform, right? So the fact that like I'm excited to can't share the game and the game companies that are working with Rive today, but um, like you can imagine someone having a really cool, recognizable character in your game, and maybe a really cool menu built around that, but then also being able to load parts of that graphic or all the menu onto your website or onto a companion app, and it's empowering those type of scenarios that I think are going to be really exciting to see, like game websites that feel like the actual game menu from the game itself. Yeah, I think that's just exciting to think about.
Yeah, so many exciting things there. Like if you guys nail that accessibility feature, I think that's going to like explode the use cases, because like in the web development community, it comes up a lot that it's like, oh, I could just use Canvas and my life would be a lot easier. And then the next question is, what about accessibility? So if you bring with that and scripting, it seems like such a fun, exciting platform to me. Like just through this conversation, I really want to go learn the tool myself now, because it just feels like before this conversation I was excited about it, but now I'm really excited.
Yeah, that we always talk about that. Like that was one of the things Flash did really well. We started this conversation talking a bit about Flash and like how it really converted a lot of design and made designers into developers. I mean, I learned a lot of code thanks to Flash, and I think we'll see a lot more of that. And we'll see a lot. I think we'll see the developer audience, is already really big in Rive. We have 40% of our users are developers, and I think it's just going to explode even more when scripting becomes, a big part of that feature set.
It's very fitting to sort of end on Flash, because I think my feeling here for a long time is that there's just never been a really great replacement for Flash. Like Flash was a really interesting moment in time, and it had a ton of warts and it had a ton of problems, but it was like this incredible tool that enabled a whole generation of makers to like just create these really rich, crazy interactive experiences. And that, I think, is the sort of mantle that Rive is taking on. It's like the only tool that I've seen this far as like, this is like the thing that Flash wished it could have been. It's like, so I'm really excited to see it develop.
That's big shoes to fill, but that's awesome. Yeah, definitely we have the power of hindsight and avoiding some of the mistakes they made with like the proprietary runtime and all that type of stuff. And yeah, not Rive isn't a plugin that puts the onus on every user to install it manually and things like that I think ultimately we get to benefit from being in the age of more modern web tooling and all that. But yeah, you were mentioning, Andrew, that you want to go try it out. This is, I guess, a good moment for me to kind of plug that we, a couple of weeks ago got rid of the file limit for individuals accounts. So individuals have unlimited files. So you feel free to hop in, and we're trying to make it as ubiquitous as possible and as easy as possible for everyone to adopt it and try it. We didn't talk about some of the differences with our runtime model, but the format is open source, the runtime is open source, the renderer is open source, the editor is really how we monetize. But we've scaled even that back a lot this year and made it. We found that most of our revenue tends to come from teams collaborating and then upgrading to enterprise security and all those type of features that enterprises want. And that's really like our model is to make it as accessible and as free as possible for individual users to use it and to become champions and bring it to their workplace and their enterprises and we hope to capture some of the value and revenue. But that's really the whole model for growth for Rive.